right? Delicious. Okay. Putting yourself in a box. I'm calling this the box of endless possibilities. Now, you might be asking yourself, why would you want to put yourself in a box as a musician, as a creative, whatever it might be? Because we're always trying to think outside of the box, right? We're always trying to think outside of the box. We're always trying to, not be pigeonholed, not have any kind of genre, man. I can't even describe my music, man. It's a blend of everything. Well, cool. But there's a real application to putting yourself into a box. We talked about this, or I talked about this yesterday on yesterday's video. But I wanted to branch off and kind of dig deep on a few of those ideas. So I'm going to call this box of endless possibilities. These are ideas, ideas, sort of mental exercises maybe, that if you can put yourself in this headspace or you can use these tools, you can really, really, really get some creative songs going. So let's put ourselves in a box. Okay, first one up is the chord progression box. So you sit down, you go out to write yourself a song, and you're going to use one chord progression, right? It could be any chord progression, but you're going to use one chord progression for the entire song, the entire time. So that's a box. Now you need to be creative. Maybe it's a 1-6-4-5 chord progression, and you need to be creative within that chord progression because you want to build a verse, a pre-chorus, and a chorus. And you told yourself, I'm not changing the damn chords. So let's see what I can come up with. So you will really, really, really find that to be super helpful. The other one is, maybe it's one chord. So I've written a bunch of one chord songs, which are super, super fun. And believe it or not, you can have a verse, a pre-chorus, a chorus, and a bridge within a one chord song. It can be done. Another one is maybe just, 2 chords. Maybe there's a 2 chord song. I know some famous Paperback Writer by the Beatles, 2 chord song. Doesn't sound like one, but it is. 2 chord song. I think it's just 1-4. And that's another thing. So like I've done this before with 2 chords, like a 1 minor 2 progression. I mean, 1 minor 2 is the shit. You can really go really far just by using those 2 chords. So putting yourself in that chord progression box is fun. Maybe you're stumped. Maybe nothing's coming to you. Set yourself up in a little box and be as creative as possible. The real creativity comes from almost having that handicap, almost having those rules in place for you. Otherwise, it's endless, right? You can't decide what to freaking do, but this will help you. Okay, the imitation box. That's box number 2. So imitate your favorite artist. Go out there and, or it doesn't even have to be your favorite artist. It should be artists that you're familiar with. Write a Lady Gaga song. That's your challenge. Write a Lady Gaga song. Cool, right? That's cool box to be in. Maybe you hate Lady Gaga. Whatever. Write a AC/DC song. Okay? That's it. It's that simple. Just sit down and be like, I'm going to write an AC/DC song off of, what if a single of theirs would have sounded like in, 1976, whenever they were around. The other thing is combining 2 artists. So, and one thing I just uploaded is a song called Come Get Me High. And it's a song that I wrote that I really wanted to mash up Jack White with Aretha Franklin. And I was like, what would that song have? What would the Jack White Aretha Franklin song sound like? Heavy guitar riffs, right? Powerful female kick-ass vocals, and combine those 2 things into basically a mashup between those 2 artists. And I'm not ripping anything off. I'm not stealing melodies and stuff like that. But your brain starts to work in that mode. Okay, what would Jack White and Aretha Franklin start to sound like? And you're at the piano and you're figuring it out, or you're at the guitar and you're figuring it out, and you've kind of set your mind on something, right? You had an aim, and it'll give you the answer to it. It'll give you your answer if you set your mind to something. It'll definitely give you the answer. I've done that before with Tom Waits too. Like, I really want to write like a Tom Waits song, and I just let my mind work on it for like a month. I'll just be thinking about it. I really want that Tom Waits song to come. I really, really, really want to write that Tom Waits song. And then, a month later, something might pop out of my head, and I'll be like, there it is, right? It doesn't have to be right away. So that's another way of using imitation. That's kind of a different subject. We'll maybe talk about that another time. I guess it would be called like, future writing or something like that. So instrument box. So whatever your normal instruments are, like I usually play guitar and piano to write, but maybe I'll pick up a ukulele, write a song on the ukulele. Now, I don't know how to play a lot of chords. I don't really know how to play any chords on the ukulele. I could probably figure it out a little bit over time, over like 30 or 40 minutes of like messing with it. But I'll be able to write something really quick. And the limitation, that's what this whole thing about, is limitation. There's a creativity in the limitation. So maybe picking up the ukulele and just strumming a little bit on that is going to limit me enough to be creative. The mandolin, that's another one. I've written a song before on the mandolin. And I didn't know many chords on the mandolin. Don't really know how to play the mandolin. Not a mandolin player. But I'll come up with a song for you. And that limitation will breed something creative. Toy piano, tuning the guitar differently, putting in a dadgad tuning, or drop D. Oh, I got a different sound out of this. This is like, and maybe I don't really know how to play in dadgad. Maybe I just know a few chords. Maybe I don't really ever play in drop D. I don't. But I'll do it, and it'll send me down a different path, right? I have to be creative within this limitation. So that's the instrument box. We got the chord progression box, imitation box, instrument box, movie box. Cool. Write a song for the soundtrack of your favorite movie. So this is super cool. I love the idea of writing a soundtrack. I love that people have done that before. I think that's super impressive. I think like Call to the Wild, Into the Wild, Eddie Vedder, when Eddie Vedder wrote that song, I mean, those songs are incredible. Great songs. And all for a movie. I guess he just sat there watching the movie and strumming on the guitar, coming up with stuff. Like, super cool. But he had to put himself in that box, right? He wasn't just writing an album. He was writing for a specific purpose with his limitation of, hey, it's got to kind of relate to this movie that's going to be for. So write a song for the soundtrack of your favorite movie. I've done this before with the movie Submarine. Sort of Wes Anderson vibes in Submarine. But I thought it was a really cool movie. Love the soundtrack. The soundtrack's done by the guy from the Arctic Monkeys. Alex something maybe. Guy from the Arctic Monkeys. He's super awesome. And he wrote the... Damn that name, Alex. Anyway. Really cool songs on there. And... he wrote most of that soundtrack, if not the whole soundtrack, but I believe there's 5 or 6 songs by him in that soundtrack. So that's another way to get creative. Okay. Last one, use less fingers on the guitar. I broke my index finger or pointer finger, whatever this one is, pointer, right? I had to play the guitar, and it's not too difficult without this finger. Like, you can still do things, but it made me kind of shape the chords a little bit more, and it was a little bit more of an open sound, depending on what chord I was playing, because I had a splint on this one, so I couldn't use it. And I remember writing a song like that, and it's like, it's not a limitation. Like, it's a fun new exercise in doing something a little differently. Like, good thing I couldn't use this finger, because opened up some more possibilities for me, things that I would have never played if I didn't have that limitation. So another example of this is you can look up like Two Fingers or Two Finger Song by Paul McCartney. He did the same thing. He tells a story about how his wife was in the hospital giving birth to their child, and then there was a Picasso painting on the wall, and the guy was playing a chord on the guitar like this, just using his two fingers. McCartney figured out what chord that was and said, I wonder if I could write a song just using two fingers, right? So these strategies, guys, have been around for a long time. Now, I've never really heard anyone bring it up before, but I mean, the fingers thing, super cool. McCartney is limiting himself, right? I'm sure that there's 1,000 people before me to do all of this kind of stuff, and even talk about it. I just haven't seen anyone bring it to anybody. So I feel like this could be super useful to you guys. It's been super useful to me. I do this all the time, and I hope that helps. So just to wrap things up, putting yourself in a box it's a limitation, but the limitation brings endless possibilities, right? This is how creativity is born. It's through struggle. It's through a limitation, right? You got to get creative. So we got the chord progression box, the imitation box. My dog is growling at something. Instrument box, the movie box, and just use less fingers on the guitar, on the piano. I don't even think I've ever tried this on the piano. Now I'm thinking if I could just use like no middle fingers, right? Just like thumb and pinky. Just do like some octave stuff maybe. That might sound kind of cool. Anyway, well, that's what I got, and I really, really hope that helps. I'll just drop a little more information in the description.